The detectors came online in a quiet surge of power, their arrays humming with the fresh calibration that had taken months to complete. Lights flickered across the control panels as the system settled into its new rhythm, pulling in data streams that had once been little more than noise. Now every pulse carried sharper detail, each gravitational ripple stretched and clarified by the upgraded lenses and processors. A low tone announced the first capture. The waveform unfolded on the main display, a clean chirp rising and falling with the unmistakable signature of two black holes spiraling together. The signal lasted only seconds, yet the resolution revealed fine structure that older instruments had blurred into static. Scientists leaned closer, tracing the frequency sweep that mapped the final moments of the merger across billions of light years. Deeper in the array, secondary sensors locked onto a secondary echo. It arrived offset by a fraction of a second, twisted by the curvature of intervening spacetime. The computers flagged the anomaly immediately, projecting the path the waves had followed through warped regions where gravity folded light itself. One technician marked the coordinates, already calculating the distance and the energy released in that distant collision. The room grew still as the full dataset loaded. Every reading confirmed the upgrades had worked beyond expectation. Where previous detections had offered faint hints, these new captures painted complete pictures of mass, spin, and trajectory. The chirps no longer whispered, they spoke with crisp edges that invited closer inspection. Outside the shielded walls, the night sky remained unchanged, yet the data flowing in suggested otherwise. The universe was no longer a silent backdrop. It was a medium that could be read, traversed, and perhaps one day crossed. The next set of coordinates scrolled across the screen, marking a point where the ripples converged into something more than background noise. A path had opened. The path had opened into a cascade of sharper pulses, each one carving away the haze that had shrouded the event for weeks. Two black holes drew closer across the void, their masses locked in a final spiral that warped the surrounding space like stretched canvas pulled taut by unseen hands. The detectors drank in the distortion, converting it to streams of light and tone that filled the control chamber with a low, rhythmic thrum. Spacetime itself folded under the strain. One singularity tugged at the other's event horizon, stretching the boundary into an elongated teardrop before the final plunge. Mass vanished in the collision, not lost but reborn as pure gravitational energy that raced outward in widening shells. The raw readings bloomed into visible arcs on the displays, each curve marking where the fabric of the universe had been torn and resewn in an instant. A fresh burst arrived, brighter than the rest. It carried the signature of energy released at the moment of merger, a flare that briefly outshone entire galaxies in the gravitational spectrum. The team watched the waveforms crest and fall, their earlier calculations now confirmed in real time. What had begun as faint ripples had become a clear chronicle of destruction and creation, the black holes reduced to a single, larger remnant spinning in the aftermath. The chamber fell quiet as the final echoes faded into the background hiss of the cosmos. Only the steady glow of the processed data remained, a reminder that the universe continued to speak, even when its voice traveled across distances measured in billions of years. The data on the screen pulsed softly, revealing patterns that stretched back to the universe's infancy. The merged remnant turned with deliberate grace, its event horizon now a boundary where time itself bent under the weight of accumulated mass. Sensors across the observation array registered faint gravitational ripples, each one carrying fragments of earlier collisions that had shaped galaxies long before human eyes turned skyward. These ripples no longer felt random. Public alert systems on Earth and the lunar colonies began flashing synchronized warnings, tying every new distortion to the same underlying narrative. Analysts traced the signals to epochs when matter first clumped into stars, when those stars collapsed and seeded heavier elements across empty space. The alerts carried no panic, only a growing insistence that each wave completed another verse in a story older than light. One technician leaned closer to the display, tracing the waveform with a fingertip. The remnant's spin had slowed by a measurable fraction, as if the universe were pausing to record its own ledger. Outside the chamber, automated relays broadcast the latest findings to every connected habitat. Citizens watched the same curves unfold on personal screens, asking quietly what came before the first ripple and what would remain after the last. A secondary pulse arrived, weaker yet unmistakable. It aligned with models of the earliest expansion, when space itself stretched faster than any signal could cross. The alignment suggested the current remnant was not an ending, but a waypoint, its gravity still shaping the paths of galaxies yet to form. No one spoke the word fate aloud, yet the data left little room for alternatives. The chamber's steady glow dimmed as fresh readings queued, each one tightening the thread between ancient violence and whatever silence waited ahead.